and Ken Leary.
Hey guys.
What is going on, Ken? Somebody that just left Florida and somebody that's in Florida.
Yeah.
So, Ken, how's the weather in Florida right now?
Well, do you want me to tell you the truth? Because I don't know how cold it is where you are.
Yeah, I'm in Cleveland. It's just always cold. I mean, that's
okay.
kind of how it is.
Well, yeah, it's a frigid 59 degrees tonight.
Oh no.
Yeah, so we're trying to tuck in and try not to get too cold, but
what
it's
he's
our
not
standard.
telling you, what he's not telling you is now me and him are both in like the dry cold. In Florida, it's like a wet cold, so it's a different kind. It's very, very, very chilly.
It really is. Yeah, the humidity
boo-hoo.
makes the hot hotter and the cold colder. So yeah, you walk out with the high humidity and the cold.
We
and the
do
wind hits
get
it's brutal.
crazy humid summers up here. Probably not as bad as Florida, but I mean it's just always cold. But believe it or not, it was actually 59 is like shorts weather up here. It's not bad. And Christmas Day, it's supposed to be like 60 degrees.
Oh wow.
So yeah, which is kind of crazy. So I don't know if global warming's a real thing or not. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but it is warmer up here. I will tell you.
We've already been globally warm here for a while, so that's kind of what I'm used to.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to stir up an argument, but like, it's not bad. I mean, 60 degrees on Christmas, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm used to. I actually hate that there's sometimes at Christmas here we'll get it. It'll be in the 80s, low 80s or something on Christmas, and it doesn't feel like Christmas.
Yeah.
If there's not 3 feet of snow on the ground, it doesn't feel like Christmas for me.
Right.
So.
Oh my gosh, the first day we moved, there was snow here.
Oh wow!
It wasn't a bunch of snow, but it was enough to make me worried.
So, I don't even want to hear about it. When I was a kid, we used to get snow so bad that they would actually have like front end loaders come in and scoop them up and put the snow on trains that were going down to Florida. So it would melt by the time it would get down. That's how much snow we had because there was so much snow. It's just they would like plow the streets and they would have to put it somewhere. And it was insane how much snow it was. And I miss those days.
That's crazy. I haven't even seen snow since I was a kid. I mean, that's at least 20 years ago. And
it's still the same. You're not missing much.
Well, I'm going up to Minnesota this year in January to go ice fishing, and I'll be experiencing the teens, if not below zero.
You're gonna regret every minute of that. I like ice fishing, but you're gonna regret every minute of that.
Get a jacket, get an actual coat because we had to buy coats when we were here.
I want things that are plugged in that are warmer. I want like the heated gloves and stuff like that because I'm going to be a Kensicle. It's not going to be pretty.
All right, Ken, you are going to Hong Kong. You're gonna. I mean, it's almost right across the street from you. You know, you're at Petrified Forest.
Yes.
So that's if I remember correctly, that's like just north of Orlando.
Yes. Yep. Exactly. We're in Altamont Springs. I actually live closer. The road to Hong Kong for me is about 30 minutes. It's pretty close. I know people are going to hate me for that, but
whatever. You just get to drive to a party. It'd be a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were teaching a class that I think is extremely important because we always hear, no matter what haunt you go to or what actors talk or whatever, and the joke's always like, oh, don't say boo or don't be like, oh, I'm gonna get you, these cliche statements. And I was a Q line actor for a long time, and I tell people all the time, like, Q line's a whole different animal because it's not you're spending 15 seconds with these people. You're spending hours with these people, and you got to be able to just go and have conversations with these people, and just you always are coming up with stuff. But I've always felt it's always more difficult for someone that has to spend 15 seconds with a customer to routinely come up with things that are engaging, unique, scary, entertaining, comical, whatever the case may be. I always tell people, remember, we're in the entertainment business first. then we're in the scare business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's actually something I push to my actors too, is that at the end of the day, we're entertainers. I mean, yeah,
Right.
we want to scare. That's our job, but you can also be funny. You get your scare, you make them laugh. That's entertaining. That's what we want. We want them to enjoy the experience, whether it's getting scared or creeped out or laughing, whatever. You want to entertain. And I mean, there's a lot of haunts out there. Some of the really big ones that have absolutely no one speaking. The entire haunt, no one talks. They're all wearing masks and stuff. And there's a reason for that. Is because if you talk and you do it wrong, it's worse than not talking. If you can lose somebody, yeah, like you said, like saying boo or rah or get out, fresh meat, all the cliche ones that takes people out of the experience. You want them to be, suspending reality. You want them to think, okay, I'm I'm really in danger here. And if you say something cliched like that, it takes them right out. They know that, oh yeah, that's right, I'm at a haunt, I'm not really in danger. But you say things that they're not expecting, or you interact with them in the right ways, it'll intensify it. Because it's a journey for them. Everybody that comes through your haunt is the main character in their story, and you want to make that journey epic. You want them to be a Frodo taking the ring to Mordor. You want them to. The more of a bad guy you are, the more intense it is, the more they enjoy that haunt. So that's the whole idea, is to really make it epic. And if you speak and do it right, and there's some pretty easy tricks that you can do, and that's what this class is all about. To interact with them in a way, whether it's that 10 to 15 seconds in a room or whether you're in the queue line, the same rules basically apply.
Yeah, I would always tell people to remember that 5 to 15 seconds. That's how close you are away for being the most memorable character in that haunt. Because I mean, you 100% could be. You could have that one scare, that one line that was hilarious, that whatever, that people are gonna walk out of there and be like, "Oh man, the doll in the doll room was
Yep.
incredible." Like you're that close. Everybody is that close all the time. You are obviously passionate about this, and you see the downfall enough that you wanted to create a class on this,
Hmm.
maybe in your own haunt or other haunts that you visited. But what are some of the most common things that you see that are being made mistake wise?
I think honestly, some of the biggest ones, obviously, like we said, the cliched phrases. I hear that a lot. Um, and it's not just those basic ones. There's other ones that are like something that's creepy, that's popular, that everybody starts using. Like, you smell different when you're awake. That was a great one, but now everybody's using it. So you don't want to go to ones that somebody might have heard at another haunt. Um, that's pretty common. Another one is, if somebody makes a promise they can't keep. I hear that all the time. Somebody will come out, I'm going to kill you. And most of the time I'm walking through and I'm like, listen, dude, after COVID and everything, all right, I'm probably better off if you do. They can't. You just stumped them and they're like, you want to say something more. I mean, it's a simple fix. You can just say, I wish I could kill you. I'd like to kill you. Simple little things, turn a phrase like that. And I've got a bunch like that where, it's really easy to correct little errors like that. But that happens a lot. Or, sometimes people do like the get out. That's one that bugs me. It's not only cliche, but it's like, dude, they just paid to get in. Do you really want to tell them to leave?
Right.
A lot of stuff like that. And I actually, one of the things I'm going to go into too is how to deal with like some of the problem guests. You get the ones that are talking back to you, and there's a lot of ways to deal with them.
Yeah, that
I
was
enjoy
when I
that part
taught
actually
my
quite a bit.
when I taught my Q line class. That was one of the things I talked about was protecting the house and being able to pick out those problem childs in the line, and in a way, in an appropriate way, to kind of poke them, to either calm them down or make them freak out in line, so you can throw them out in line, because it's a lot easier to deal with them in the line than it is inside the house. You're not chasing them through a maze.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of your job out in the front, is you have to kind of confront these people, and you either gotta I always thought it was the best to get everyone around them to laugh, because when they're the only ones not laughing, that kind of makes them look like a jerk, and then they kind of get
Yeah,
the picture.
and that'll take it
Um,
right out of them. That definitely
yeah,
that's actually one of my favorite things is because we'll get actually the past few years it's becoming more and more like haunt daycare. We get the mom that'll drop off a couple of like the middle school kids and then come back in a couple hours. So after they've gone through their trails, they're hanging out in our front area, which is where I usually and some the other directors will actually do the direct to cast directing, and then we go out there and act as well. And we'll have the same ones keep coming up to us and still try the same stupid joke, and it's like, they think they're funny, and they're the first guy that came up with whatever the joke is, and
right,
and having a good response for that.
yeah,
Usually, especially if it's something, like one thing that's odd, I keep getting. I don't know if a lot of people get this too, but I'll have like some of these kids come up. Are you my dad? It's like I'm in
yeah, oh yeah,
character. See, I don't know why that is, but it's after a while I kept saying no, no, and then after I'm like, I gotta have something better. So finally, when a girl actually came up to me and said, "Are you my dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably. What's your mom's name?"
yeah,
And her ironically, her mom was standing behind her, and her mom busted out laughing, and her friend started laughing, and she just looked at me like, "Huh?" She didn't get it. So, but it worked. That whole group started laughing. Thankfully, the mom did. I didn't know her, to be fair. But her whole group laughed, and she just kind of like, oh, felt defeated, and then that was the end of it.
yeah. I would always say I know exactly what you're talking about. That's happened to me. I couldn't tell you how many times, but I would always either say, and it depends on the situation and the place that you're at and stuff. But I would always say things like you wish I was, or or if it's a little like, because I used to work like at Haunted Hoochie a lot and stuff, so you could get
Mm.
away with a lot of stuff. And I would be like, yeah, of course I am. You didn't see your mom making me a sandwich, like things like that. And then all of a sudden, everybody's just like, oh, like that's. And that's important, especially out in front, is just having that quick wit, those improv skills. I cannot emphasize enough how
Hmm.
important improv skills are. Um, but more importantly, inside the attraction, and I don't want you to give away all of your secrets because I want people to attend your class.
Hmm.
But what kind of tips can people kind of work on for creativity? Like, one of my tips is always have like a bag of like 5 to 6 things to say. You know, when people are gone, that's fine. You can reload, but you kind of want one that helps you as an actor because you don't get bored. And two, if you get a large enough group on busy nights, you can always kind of change things up. What are some tips that you have?
Well, yeah, I've actually got a couple like that. One of them is exactly what you're saying. And one of the secrets to improv is to plan ahead. I mean, I know that sounds like the exact opposite of what improvising is, but yeah, I always have at least three, and I'll tell all my actors that are in the sets, not just the queue line ones. I'll tell them have at least three different lines. So if you see somebody come through, that's because we have people that'll come through a couple times a night. Um, say a different line, or if you get a conga line, because people will back up, you want to have a couple lines so that if they are stuck in there, you can go through the entire room and get them with three different lines. So that way the people aren't hearing you say the same thing. Um, but yeah, for improv, another good thing that I always tell people is that if somebody does stump you, um, remember it and then think about it later and come up, because somebody else will say the same thing.
Mhm.
It's going to
Absolutely.
happen. I'm too old to say this line, but there's riz, there's the new slang that everybody's using. So you're going to get hit with some new expression that you haven't heard. It took me a little bit to figure out what drip was. Um,
Oh yeah. And
but
then when you can actually, I loved, like, when I would travel around, you find slang regional too. Like, there'd be different
mhm,
things regionally. And so, like, Friday nights, I would always pay attention to like words I didn't really understand, or like why they were said. And then the next day when I'd come in, I'd ask, like, what was this? What was this? And
mhm.
I'd make it a point to use it, because the kids would love it. They just see, some 30-year-old dude monster that's out there saying things like Riz and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
When dabbing was big, you would
Oh
do
God.
stupid, yeah, you would do stupid things like, and they would eat it up. They would go crazy. By the end of the night, you're just like, I never want to do any of that again. But it's about entertaining
Yep,
the crowd.
and if you even respond to it, you don't have to say it, because me saying any slang, especially anything new, whatever the riz is, um, it doesn't sound right coming from me. Because even in character, if I'm like, what up, brother? How's it hanging? It's so wrong that I can't pull that off. But if you respond to it, if somebody talks about my clothes or something, or the nice drip, I'm like, oh, I just pulled it out of my closet or whatever, and so they know that I am actually responding, and I understood what they
Right.
meant. Um,
Yeah, I always if I couldn't make something like cool or fun, I would intentionally make it even more awkward
oh yeah,
than like ramp up the awkwardness. That's also a great diffuser too. I always found if people think you're like a little touched in the head and you're a little slow, they tend to like chill out a little bit,
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, and it's actually a very good thing too. I mean, a lot of the kids, especially the ones like you get like the preteen boys or the early teen boys that act like they're really tough, and they'll literally someone will come up and say, "I'm not scared of you. You're not scary." You know that they're scared because they're trying to convince themselves that they're not. Um, they're certainly not going to convince us, but they're trying to talk themselves out of it. They're trying to escape. It's like I hate to use a Lord of the Rings reference, but Bilbo, when he was surrounded by all the um, they're not orcs, whatever, but he was there and he talked them into a conversation, and they stayed out until the sun came up and they all turned to stone and he got away. That's in essence what a lot of these people are trying to do. They're scared and they're trying to talk themselves out of it. If they talk you into sounding like a human, they realize you're not a monster. They might survive. So
right?
sometimes it's a good thing, if they start saying something, you don't have a comeback, use one of your phrases that you have saved up and completely ignore what they said. Come back with something entirely different, and they'll realize, oh no, I am in trouble here because he's not even listening to what I'm saying. So
Well, and
there's a lot of I've got several different things like that I cover on how you can mess with these people, and not let them get the upper hand.
yeah, and I think it's also important to remember as an actor to not get discouraged by this.
Hmm.
That you have to remember these things. And, because as soon as a group goes, another one's showing up, and you got to be ready. You can't have bad days. Like you can't let these things eat away at you. And, it's a good point. And it's when people, well, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of this. I would look people in the eye and just be like, you're supposed to. Like, if you don't want to be scared, that's fine. You want to pay $30 and not be scared, whatever. That's like going to the movies and not enjoying yourself.
Right.
It's like what,
Some
like,
people don't. I mean, my wife, God bless her, I can't scare her to save my life. She'll scare me all the time. Some people go through and they still have fun, even if they're not getting scared. Even if they're
right.
watching their group getting scared, they'll still enjoy themselves. So
Yeah.
you
So
can't,
I,
you can't get upset if you don't scare somebody.
yeah,
Entertain them anyway. Um, yeah, like I said, if somebody's not getting scared by anything you're saying, say something funny, crack them up. Uh,
right.
you're still providing that entertainment, but you have to have a short memory too. There's some times where you'll try and scare somebody and you're just not getting them. And I always tell our actors to back off after a certain amount of time. It's like you're not going to get them all, and actually you'll just be annoying if you keep trying. So just back them off, let them go, and then focus on the people that you can scare. But you got to have a short memory. You can't let that get in your head, because
Right.
that will happen.
Yeah.
But you just got to let it go, and just
Especially
get
on
the
the
next
queue
people.
line. Especially on the queue line, having a
Mm,
quick pace. If you have because sometimes you have nights like that where people like, dreary raining nights and people are just already grumpy or the line's too long.
mhm.
Sometimes having a quick pace, moving through the lines quickly, just kind of hitting people, boom, 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 boom. Eventually, you'll find a group in the lines that's willing to play. And if they're having a good time, then people will start paying attention. People start getting the hint like, "Oh, we're supposed to
Mhm.
be having a good time too," and then they want that experience for themselves. So the next time you loop back around, they're more willing to play and stuff like that. It's
Yep.
just there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, yeah. Because the crowds do react to the attitudes of the people around them. So if you do have a group that's annoying, the people around them, and you scare them, everybody will appreciate it. or yeah, like you said, if sometimes people are temperamental, if you have good interaction with the group, everybody around them watches, and they'll be entertained by that. And you can sometimes when our lines get real long, they'll actually have us go out front before they even get into our front yard area, and we'll go through the queue lines and just mess with the people in the queue lines, and it's a considerable change in attitude rapidly, just by the fact that somebody's going out there to actually keep them entertained. And you could do simple stuff. It's fist bumping is like the big thing. You'll have like a group. I'll have groups of the boys, that are there for the daycare. And I'll like fist bump a couple of them, then get like to the fifth one and say, "Not you," and then fist bump the next one, and it's like they all start laughing, and
Right.
and that spreads. That helps. But yeah, queue line acting is a whole different animal and it's much harder in some ways, but then again, working on sets is also harder in different ways. But a lot of the skill set can work in both places. But yeah, you have a much shorter time when you're in a set. You've got to get that scare. You've got 10, 15 seconds to do it. And then you're waiting for that next group, and timing is important. Out in the queue line area, your set is them surrounding you. Especially, the open areas like our front yard area, you're in the middle of it. Somebody can be walking right up behind you. You're not going to see them. You have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. And you don't have downtime. You can't prepare in between groups. You have to be constantly on, constantly entertaining. So yeah, you don't scare somebody, then you scare that next one. Don't pause. Don't think about it.
Well, that's even having the midway idea. So having queue line is one thing, but having a midway, that's a whole nother ball game in itself, And when I first started doing midway stuff, I'd find myself getting lost. I mean, it's just because you don't know where people are coming or going. It's hard to just keep track of what's happening. And I would always just start doing stuff. I would just find a spot and I just start doing stuff. And if people came around me, people came around me. If they didn't, they didn't, and you just kind of float and instead of looking for people, you kind of figured out ways to draw them in to you.
Draw them in,
yeah, and make groups that way and things like that.
Yeah, I spent my first 6 years as an actor on the trails, and then my last 6 years that I've been working there, I've been one of the cast directors. So we got to do, like I said, we do the cast directing. We'll be working on the trail, and then we'll also get to go out into our front area. Yeah, it's basically like we call it the front yard, but it's like a midway area. And the first night I went out there in character, I'm like, I can't wait. I need to be out. I'm a queue line actor. I can do this. I went out and realized I was surrounded by people, and there was no downtime in between groups. There was no resetting, and
there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, I went backstage after like the first hour or something. Came back and I'm like, what the hell was that? Yeah. Oh my god, this is so different. I felt like I think I was more scared than some of the people out there at first. I mean, luckily they couldn't tell, but I was like, oh my god, this is so different. And that's one of the things that I'm like, I need to start teaching people this.
It's with midway. It's not like you can just
not just talking, but just. Yeah, there's so many things, and that's why that's actually the reason I started originally it was just a blog, and I didn't really think. It was something I did because I had been searching online for different acting techniques and stuff like that because I wanted to get better, and I realized that there's some good ones out there, but there's not a whole lot, and none of them are really for actors specifically. A lot of it's all haunt stuff, which is great, but I'm like, there's not like actor centric ones. So that's when I started doing it, and I did the first one I did that I put on Facebook was do's and don'ts in a haunt, and it was just general rules of like, because we've all got the same exact things that annoy us about other actors, and there's like some things that we really appreciate, and you don't have to be a director. You can be another actor to get I get that. Don't scare your set mates in between groups, stuff like simple little things like that. So I did that first one. And it was more just for me, like for my own entertainment to do it, because I wanted to do something that was informative but funny. And I mean, not dad joke funny. Some of my stuff is actually funny. But I did the first one and it kind of took off. And I realized I'm like, hey, I got a couple hundred views. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So then I put out another one, which that first one was big. My second one was the one where I actually did using your words to get the scare, um, which is what this class is based on. And that one I posted it in the morning, and I was driving to my regular job, the one that pays for me to be able to act. And I checked it, and it was like 300 views. I'm like, there's no way I got 300 views from when I left my house to when I got to the office. So I refreshed, and it was like several thousand. It just took off like crazy. And that's actually when I first got invited out to do HauntCon that year. That was, I think, 2019. And it kind of took off from there. And it was weird because I literally met a guy there from Australia that had read my site and was a fan. Nice. And it's like, it's funny because I always like joke that I'm like, we even have a running joke, which I regret making, that I said, I'm, the Ken Leary, and to all the new actors. So they were wondering if I was famous or something. But I'm like not an arrogant person. And it actually kind of weirded me out that somebody was kind of fanboying over me, when I was actually kind of fanboying over him because I knew who he was and he was a really good slider. And it's kind of weird. It's weird getting those accolades from people, but my goal has been reached, I think, in a way, from when I started, which is I wanted actors to be able to learn something from it, because I'm pretty good at making mistakes. So I think if I can share my mistakes and people don't have to make them themselves, then that's awesome. If I can help somebody enjoy it as much as I do, that's even better.
What you're doing is important, because if you look at these iconic haunted houses that are out there that everybody knows about, they're very, very heavy on training their actors. Very heavy. They run camps all throughout summer that are mandatory. Like, if you want to work here, you're going to go through this and you're going to learn this stuff. And there's a lot of haunts that don't do that. They just don't have the time. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the ability to kind of present this information. And you bringing it to the masses that the way you are, um, you having, the class at HauntCon and things like that. I think this is going to be, Doug and I were talking about this the other day. Like, we're going to have to find chairs. There's certain classes that we were like, there's going to be more people that are going to show up to this. There's just that we can fit in this room. Like, we're going to have to figure something out. And your class was one of them, because it's really, really important. Even if you're not an actor, if you're out here listening and you're not an actor, if you're an owner, a manager, a casting director, whatever, you should sincerely take this class, find Ken's literature, find his videos, because you can bring that to your haunt. And I'm telling you, it's night and day with with a little bit of training the right way to your haunt. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible what you can get out of these actors with just a few tips here and a few tips there, and just tweaking things a little bit. It's pretty incredible. Anyways, Ken,
a little bit of training goes a long way. It really does. It really does.
Yes.
That's why we actually changed our training so that we have full on classes for them, and it makes an immediate difference. First night of the haunt, it's like second week. Everybody's on point already. So I definitely encourage haunt owners or direct, absolutely. Yeah, you'd want to take these classes like that.
I believe your class is Sunday at 1:00. I don't know if it's on there.
It is Sunday. I believe it's early. I believe it might actually be 8 a.m. Yeah.
8 a.m. Well, it's Sunday. Either way, it's Sunday. Are you going to partake in some of the festivities down there in HauntCon, since it's just right down the street from you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I plan to be there all the days that it's open.
Awesome.
For sure.
So people out there, if you can't make the Sunday class, I'm sure you'll be able to bump into Ken, say hi to him. Is there where can people that can't attend HauntCon or can't attend your classes, where can they find some of your literature and some of your videos?
Okay, well, I actually have a website. It's scareacting.com, and all of my stuff is there. It's just a blog format right now, but I've got all the different. It's broken down into the different subjects. Instead of just doing general things, I usually hit specific topics, and there'll be different blog posts about all those. And I'm the owner, operator, CEO, and head writer. I only have one employee. He's kind of a jerk, but it's me, so I keep him in line.
That's all right. He's self-aware, and that's what's important. So
Exactly. It's the first step
well,
to the recovery.
right. Well, Ken, we're not going to keep you. We're going to let you enjoy that nice Florida weather you guys are having. Thank you for being on the show tonight. It's
Oh, my
always a
pleasure.
pleasure for me to talk to actor-driven people. I come from the actor side of things. I love all aspects of the haunt industry, but there's a special place in my heart for the actor stuff. And I could just sit here and talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours about this stuff. Um,
Yeah, I can relate.
so thank you for being on the show. And man, it's like a month away, like
I
6 weeks or
know. I'm
something like
excited.
that. So, yeah, we will see you down at Hong Kong, my friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you have a good night.
All right. Thank you. You too.